Hello, everyone. This is Emilios. I'm the president of the 19th national session of EYP Latvia for 2023. And I thought that we're going to do something cool this year, which is actually while we're doing the session and while I'm walking over the challenge of presiding a session, I will actually be super transparent and try to show some different elements and how my process at least works in presiding an EYP session. Of course, this will be revolved around the 19th national session of EYP Latvia and a national session concept. But at the same time, I believe that there are a lot of valuable lessons that can exist and be coming out from this as well. So we're going to be starting and touching upon a lot of different elements throughout. This is not really the too interactive part, but by the end of everything, hopefully we're going to have some exercises, some workshops, and more things that we're going to do. So today we're going to start with the very first thing that someone will need to consider when they are accepted in presiding a session. So first of all, if you have been accepted, congratulations. This is a great thing and a very big challenge that you have ahead of you. The thing that you need to start considering though is the timeline. So today we're just going to talk about the two potential approaches to a timeline and how you could utilize it. So the first thing, and this is coming from project management methodologies, is that usually in EYP, we have a waterfall approach to timelines, which means that there's a very linear order of tasks. So as you can see with this very simplistic graph here, the waterfall plan usually goes each phase that finishes, and then the next phase is able to begin. In our case, for example, and I would like to perhaps show you our very own timeline that we're using, you can see that we're using a Gantt chart, which is a form, essentially a preset template in that regard, that also has different phases that go ahead. So one of the things that you need to be aware of before we dive a bit further into the concept of timeline is the fact that you need to, first of all, break down all the tasks that you need to do. Once you're able to do that and have everything categorized, then you're also able to visualize the process. And that is also the most important part when having a timeline. The fact that you're able to see and plan ahead what you need to do. So that's the first part. And most often it's very easy to plan in phases. The alternative here, and this also like super fun if you want to try out something a little bit different, is the following. So our alternative is what we would call in project management, at least, an agile methodology. So the agile is just moving in shorter iterations, delivering value throughout the process. So it's usually like in 2 week cycles. They call them sprints. Sometimes if you work in a startup, if you want to work in a startup, and how it would work, for example, is that right now our sprint, it's about training our team. The next sprint, perhaps, it's all about the TO writing process. One of the reasons that this doesn't work very effectively right now, at least in EYP, is the fact that there's one too many parallel processes taking place, and a lot of processes take a lot longer. So that is something that just does give a bit of an obstacle, but it's also very interesting to see and take upon this challenge. So some things to keep in mind when creating a timeline. It's see it as two levels. Level number one is essential things. So what are the things that 100% need to happen for this event? So the essential tasks, then you need to identify the task owners, so the people that are going to do these tasks, the duration of the tasks, whether these tasks have a deadline, and if they do, you need to always add a flexible deadline, so approximately 1 to 2 weeks before, and then also an absolute deadline, and also at the same time, establish your parallel process. So going back to our initial timeline here, we can see that the main task that we have is from leadership, for example, vision setting and alignment, trainings and workshops, common projects, and session support. And then we can also see that there are some processes that take place in a waterfall approach, as we just explained. But at the same time, since we have different elements and different areas of focus, there are also parallel processes that are taking place at the same time within very similar months. The other thing, though, to just consider, at least on a quick way, is the fact that, of course, you want to add your personal element to a session. What I personally like to call the wow elements. So whenever we want to add wow elements to our timeline, you need to consider that these are secondary elements. So we repeat the same process. So we identify the tasks, the task owner, and the task duration. We set our deadlines and we establish the parallel process, but they are not really that essential. So these are the main considerations that we take when creating a timeline for this event.